Hey guys, I just wanted to make a really quick video to talk to you about a couple of things after I reviewed your memoir pitches that you submitted this past Sunday. First, I want to say thank you so much for everyone who got those turned in. A lot of you shared things that are really personal to your private lives, and so I do not take that lightly. Thank you so much for your willingness to engage wholeheartedly in the assignment and the writing process, and for trusting me enough with your private information. So I really do appreciate that. Now, in terms of accessing your feedback, first thing I want to say is when you go to the gradebook, you will notice that if you turned in a memoir pitch and it adequately matched the specifics of the assignment, it was a paragraph, it was actually a memoir submission, then you got a 100, right? So the grade is important, but it's not the most important part. You got a 100 because you did it. It falls under the category of supplemental assignments, so that's always a good thing. However, the most important part is my feedback. In terms of accessing my feedback, you can just click on the grade book on the left-hand side of your Moodle page, scroll down until you see your submission, you see that particular assignment. Click on that. And when you click on that, it's going to bring up that submission page. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see a PDF, right? Like the little white piece of paper with red on it. You'll see a PDF that if you click on the PDF, then you will see my comments, okay? So when you click on that, embed it, you'll see little numbers that indicate footnotes. You can hover your mouse or the mouse icon over the number and the note will pop up. You can also scroll to the bottom and there'll be like a list of all of my feedback. If you have any questions about any of the feedback that I gave you, then please don't hesitate to message me either on Moodle or send me an email, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Now, some things that kind of relate to the whole class in terms of the assignment that I want to remind you about is first something that maybe I neglected to tell you, so I'm going to take the responsibility for this one. All of your writing, everything that you submit should employ MLA format guidelines. What that means is that you are following the Modern Language Association guidelines for academic writing. All right, so it should be 12 point Times New Roman font. Your writing should be double spaced throughout the entire document. You should indent a paragraph, even though your submission was just one paragraph. That one paragraph should be indented because that's what you do when you write. Your title should be centered directly below the naming information. The title should not be in all caps. It should not be in quotation marks. It should not be italicized. It should not be underlined. It should not be in an enlarged font. It should still be 12 point Times New Roman font and pretty plain actually. Now in terms of the title needs to be applicable, and I realize for the pitch you could have literally put anything there, but it needs to be applicable to your writing. It is not going to be narrative essay, it's not going to be memoir. It should be related to the actual content of your essay. In terms of the naming information, your naming information should appear on the first page only in the upper left hand corner. So in the upper left hand corner there should be your name, your full name, first and last. My name, right? You can put Mrs. Baldwin, all right? M-R-S. I am married, right? Mrs. Baldwin. After that, the class, which is English 111, W2, I believe, and then the date. So all of those things should appear in the upper left-hand corner only on the first page of your writing. The entire document should be double-spaced, 12 point Times New Roman font with 1-inch margins all around. So I just want to remind you of that. I maybe didn't say that or make that explicit with this particular writing, but let's get in a healthy habit of always formatting our documents accordingly. Now, the other things that I want to talk about are really specific to the assignment. Your memoir is a personal narrative. That is, you are telling a story. This is really hazy. I always get it wrong. Are y'all tickled by these videos where I mess up the camera? Anyway. Is that better? Maybe. Anyway, so you are telling a story that is about your life, right? Some of the submissions were a little bit odd in that they seem to be about other people. Now, that's not to say they can't feature other people. Of course, if you're talking about your grandfather, your uncle, your cousin, your mate, then that person is there. But keep in mind that your memoir is a unique version of your perception of things. So your emotion should be highlighted. Your experiences should be highlighted. Your actions should be highlighted. So, of course, if it's about your wedding day, your spouse was there, right? But you don't want to write everything about the spouse because you don't know what he or she was feeling. You might know what was said and what was done, but in terms of what was thought, you don't have a way of knowing that, okay? So make sure that your writing is unique to your own perception and it is about your life or a piece of your life. And if I'm being really honest with you, whether it is actually true and accurate to your life, I wouldn't know. So write a memoir. We want to make sure that we adhere to the goals of the assignment, which is clear descriptive writing, organized, cohesive storytelling. Your essay should have a clear beginning, middle, and end and be formatted accordingly. One thing, though, I do want to caution you against is including words and phrases such as I think, in my opinion, or it seems to me, especially with this type of writing that is completely unnecessary because it's your story. Obviously, these are things that you think or things that are true to your perception. So let's get out of the habit of using those space-filling phrases that don't actually enhance the quality of our writing. The other thing you want to kind of keep in mind is your organization. Make sure that your story is streamlined, okay? What you write about can span a little bit of time, but it needs to have a clear beginning, middle, and end. When we are telling a story with an oral format or in an oral format, we have a tendency to overlap, to double back, to really kind of tell things in a way that's a little bit more natural to oral communication. However, when you're writing, it needs to be streamlined. There needs to be a clear pathway from point A to B to C. Now, can you reverse and kind of modify that? Yes, the entire thing can be written in reverse order, but it still needs to be logical, okay? And the last thing that I want to talk about is dealing with organization. Well, let me say this also. You do not have to use an outline. I posted information about creating an outline. I encourage you to use an outline if it will help you to maintain your organization, but it's not required, although it is recommended. You won't get anything outside of like good job for doing it, but I do encourage you to do it, especially if you struggle with organization. Just making a list of things that you plan to write about that will be beneficial to you. The other thing and the last thing that I want to say, well, not the last thing, but the other thing is regarding grammar. Guys, we have spent the first several weeks of the course almost exclusively, well, not quite, but focusing heavily on grammar. You will lose points. If you look at the grading rubric, 20 points of your essay is dedicated to grammar. So your submission is just practice for using good grammar. The things that I am going to look at specifically: comma usage, right? Fragments and run-on sentences, subject, verb, and pronoun antecedent agreement. On your pitches, I pointed out errors. I didn't fix them. That's your job. My job is to label it. But if I were to say this is a fragment, you should be equipped with the skills and the knowledge of knowing what a fragment is and how to fix it based on the content that we've covered thus far. Now, if you have any questions about that content, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. This week on Moodle, what you notice is that it is optional for you to submit a draft. It's placed on this week, but it'll also be placed on next week. And you can submit a draft of your memoir up until next Wednesday. You do not have to, but if you would like to get some feedback before you turn in the final paper on that following Sunday, then please do take advantage of that opportunity. I will review your draft, give you some feedback, and you can make any necessary corrections. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and enjoy the writing process.